That was positively delightful in every sense. That was Tennessee Pride by the Pine Top 7, which unfortunately I did not know until that very moment was that you were in that band. So I went and I didn't know that song, and I went and looked it up on the old, on YouTube, which that song was not on YouTube, so then I looked it up on Spotify, and so I'm listening to it having no idea what I'm listening to. So I feel like an asshole. So that was fantastic. I do. Matt Spiegel's up next. You know, one thing I love about Chicago is that we're a big city and we have all the great amenities and things that big city has, but we're a small town. So I went to countless Tributosaurus shows. Yeah, right? And if you don't, before ever getting, you know, and then eventually, you know, got to know Matt and got to the pleasure of having him come out and do, I think the one that you came out and did actually, which, by the by, let me rewind, sidebar. All of our performers tonight have graciously come out and done this again. They've all done this previous to this one other time. So I'm really grateful that you guys were able and willing to come out and do this again. And Matt, and I think Matt and Susan both did First Car when we did it at Shoe Buzz, which, by the way, celebrated, I think, Chirp's first year anniversary, and we're coming up, we just celebrated 3 years. Yeah. So that's super, really exciting. So the reason, so my crazy mind train here, being that I've seen this guy perform just a ton of times, and so it was really great when I was able to. Chicago's accessible, so it was great when I was able to ask him to come out and do it back then for First Car, and was able to ask him again. So if you don't know what Tributosaurus is, man, whoo, dogs. So they become a famous artist every month. They do a lot of different things these days, but how I got to know them is, you know, Stevie Wonder or Van Morrison or Prince or Michael Jackson or whatever, and then they take and get and accumulate whatever is necessary to make it sound and be whatever they need, you know, whatever you heard on the record, they get, you know, whether it be strings from an orchestra or a crazy harmonium or whatever it is, like, it happens on the stage, generally at Martyrs. They're doing one on March 8th at the Copernicus Center, which is like, Milwaukee and Lawrence or something like that. Am I right about that? It's going to be one-hit wonders of the 70s, so that's going to be pretty badass. Check out Tributosaurus.com because they got Stevie Ray Vaughan coming up at Martyrs. They got Van Morrison coming up. They got the band. They also do stuff out at Fitzgerald's in Berwyn. So I mean, they've got lots and lots and lots of stuff coming up. So check those guys out. Matt's doing something, it's called Sweetest Little Fellow. So I'll let him get to it. It's Matt Spiegel. Woo!
Hello. I am the youngest of 5. And I always thought I wanted to replicate the gaggle. I like the gaggle. In fact, in things like bands and radio shows and whatever, I have replicated the gaggle of 5, subconsciously, with my role playing out about the same. But in terms of the Spawn gaggle, life took over. Life was not that interested in fulfilling the long-term vision of teenage Spiegel. Life decided I should be, in loose order, sexually awkward, financially chaotic, ambitiously selfish, and romantically visionless. So the dream of a gaggle was lost to the ether, and I thought the concept of a child at all was probably gone too, but something wonderful happened. I lost some weight, I found my balls, metaphorically speaking. I moved west and I moved back, I disentangled from all sorts of things. And suddenly I was free to find and be found, and so was she. And our timing was perfect. We were older, we were smarter, we were mostly unencumbered, emotionally open, and one day she happened to leave some information from a sperm bank lying around on the coffee table. Oh, that? Just something I've been thinking about, that's all. clever girl. And I was like, of course, you know, I have sperm right here. It's not doing anything. My sperm is available. It's interested. And why don't we hang out? So we decided to talk about possibly collaborating to create a short person. You know, we set a date for the talk. And we sat down at Rootstock on California with wine, charcuterie, and notes. In my little blue pad, I had the pros and cons of procreation. And the stats and the reasoning all added up to, fuck yeah, let's do this. I loved being pregnant. It was awesome. My role was great, you know, admire her transformation. She'd occasionally give me a proud belly walk by, a little something like this. You know, and she'd show off the belly, and I was digging it. I was digging it. I was to help ensure a warm, safe host for our little parasite. I was to fetch milkshakes, read weekly from a scientific Bible about the progress of our project. I mean, we built a human from nothing. Nothing. From pre-existing parts, spare shit we just had lying around, you know? Genetics we traveled with for decades, doing nothing. Our fetus was courageous. In utero, there was amniocentesis. It had to be done. And there is our boy on the screen at an amnio. He's impossibly small. He's 20 weeks, clearly living, pulsating, twitching, right? And this enormous needle suddenly inhabits his sensory radius, and he lunged for it. And again, reached for it aggressively, directly. And we did something between squeal and shriek at that point. But I realized my boy doesn't cower in the fucking corner. He doesn't freeze with concern. He looks like a bear swiping at salmon a foot under the water. He's dominant, he's determined, and this pure instinct I later interpolated as, hey, what are you? You're new. Can I do something with you? Do I take you in? And I hope he's always unafraid of strange interlopers in that way. It's a beautiful moment for me. I can say with assurance that poker at a casino out of state, late in a woman's third trimester, is the equivalent of lighting a cigarette while standing on the L tracks. The train comes. It comes. She texted me at 10:07, you need to cash out and start coming home. So I jumped up, I sat down, I jumped up, I sat down. I thought, like you, Dowd, I thought of Cat Stevens, water has broken. And the scraggly fellow degenerate to my right says, dude, are you having a baby right now? I'm like, why, yes, shiftless punk. Yes, I am. And there were cheers and good wishes all around. I walked/ran to the car, blurting to everyone and anyone, I'm having a baby right now. I gotta get to the car. I like being pregnant, I loved giving birth. It was awesome. I was great at it. And our little grumptastic Yoda of a newborn came out as the old Jewish man he was destined to be. He said, hello, I'm here. And he said, I wouldn't do that again. And neither would any of us. But then, and now, but mostly then, his face changes every time you look at him, right? Emotions in the postpartum room are free-flowing, they're massive. His skin is unlike any texture imaginable, and the fatherhood thing in general is better than any drug I ever tried. Our friend Ray called it the ultimate human trip, which is perfect. I'll forever remember the moment when Matt LeBlanc won a Golden Globe for his acting on the cable series Episodes. I never saw the show, I don't give a shit, but at the moment he won that award, I was changing the first black tar meconium diaper of young Ruben's life. When this shiny, thick substance kept oozing out of him, and I cycled through somewhere between 8 and 14 baby wipes, and homegirl is laughing wildly from the bed the whole time. I liken it to the Exxon Valdez disaster, but more disgusting. And I'm pretty sure the same amount of wildlife died. There were seagulls that drowned, seals gasped for air, and the news media shook their heads disapprovingly. Here's the deal. I had always been the guy who, growing up, who wanted to and maybe could do about 7 different things. Like I split my 10,000 hours between about 6 different vocations. And I'd be the same proportions of happy and a little regretful while doing each of them. Well, there are now 2 times in my life that this often conflicted man knew with certainty that I was in exactly the right place, doing exactly the right thing. One was when my mother died, and for 8 days you sit Shiva, and she is honored and celebrated as deserved, and I knew I was supposed to be there. And that second time was those first few weeks of parenthood, 13 days of paternity leave. There's no place in the universe, with no social, no professional opportunity that merits my time and attention more, and I found that in itself extremely comforting. But eventually I had to leave the cave. I have to go kill a wild boar, and I have to drag it back home, and I have to do that most days because I need to maintain high cave quality. So as you begin to add the rest of your life back in, the challenge emerges. How quickly, how efficiently can I race back home? Page turn. I am deeply, deeply grateful for the demeanor of our son. He's fascinating. He's almost unerringly sweet. He's curious. What an incredibly healthy person to hang around with. How many times, many times, has he served as perspective renewal for me in times of stress? Therapists call it cognitive restructuring. How can you possibly worry about insignificant neuroses or petty details when you're hanging out with that guy, you know? That dude, that perfect little boy, is the one I'm supposed to come home to make smile and giggle. I spend my life, thankfully, working to entertain people, but he's the one that deserves the songs. He deserves the shtick, both impromptu and prepared. Scratchy throat? Tough shit, Spiegel. You have to gut your way through Hendrix's May This Be Love at bath time. And don't skimp on the vocal slide guitar solo or else he'll notice, right? Wow, wow. Tired of talking and using your voice at the end of the day? Suck it up, Pops. Remind yourself why the 59th Street Bridge song is a surprisingly perfect lullaby. Make that kid dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. He deserves my best energy. Some of the most purely happy minutes of my life are spent sitting with him on the couch, speaking pure gibberish, just absolute nonsense. He has this perfect, precise way of moving his fingers through his lips as he buzzes them. It's a sound made for the first time ever on the planet less than 60 days ago, and I can't get enough of it. He's telling me stuff. He's communicating. There's this beautiful intuitive theory about fostering a child's imagination and growth. We got it from Dr. Sears. He's our dude. And he says that we are to acknowledge the efforts and achievements of the child, to praise his speech, so that go that extra step with him, help him think he's gotten his message across. He should feel good about speaking, feel the joy of communicating, even if his skill set isn't up to task just yet. And I love this. Because you know what it is? Where's messing? It's improvisational theory. It's yes and, isn't it?
Yes, baby.
Right? In an improv scene, if you pretend we're at a doctor's office, I don't say we're not. I talk about how sickly the receptionist is, right? I wonder why they have penthouse in the waiting room or something funnier than those things, theoretically. But I acknowledge what you've set up, and I don't deny it. I further the narrative, and it's the same with Reuben, little Reuben. I keep his adventure going. He's 1 now, and the matriarch got promoted. Daddy works a lot, so it's time for daycare a couple times a week, which is absolutely terrifying. And by day 2, though, he was fine. He was totally fine. We left him there. He's like, all right, Dad, see ya. I got shit to do. There's this girl over here. These books are cool, and he's on his way. But the night before day 1, I found myself sitting up in bed with my glasses on, these daddy glasses, and I'm filling out the necessary paperwork for the first time. And I'm realizing that my parents, as the parents of 5, did this for roughly 28 years over the course of 5 kids, which is absolutely absurd. But one of the pages says, what are Reuben's favorite activities? And I'm like, all right, well, let's see. He's 1. Activities. He likes to turn book pages. He enjoys splashing. He likes splashing a lot. Crapping his pants. He's really good at that. He likes to take things out of containers, and occasionally, probably luckily, he puts things back in their containers. Activities. He's working on it. He makes me want to be a better man. He makes me want to live a long time. I still have my challenges, face my demons, find myself sleepless and embattled like we all do every once in a while. But I have to be strong for him. I want to deserve him. I have to earn him. I'm sappy these days. I'm sappy. I'm thankful for the joy he brings, thankful for the health he's been granted, thankful for the partner I've lucked into, and thankful for his existence, bringing levels of meaning I've heard about, I wanted, but I still didn't really believe. I want to go wake him up.
Got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestone, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? Come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Feeling groovy. Feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Now if I love you, all is good.